break us now. It's hard to break us. As a matter of fact, you ain't going to do it.
Open look going as he hits it. What a play called by Tom Izzo in that timeout.
I was 7 years old watching a football game by myself, and I saw those winged helmets come out of the tunnel, and I was hooked at that point.
Kane in Chicago. Oh, my God. Kane with the overtime winner.
Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
He drives, lobs to JD for a jam.
You play real good, you start. You don't play as good, you work your way back in. It's the American way, except America has gotten soft. But that is the American way. That's the way it works.
This is the 6'6" Kane Cunningham. Jameson Williams, he's got it. Touchdown, Lions. Now it's Larkin with a burst of speed. He scores. Gives the United States the lead for the first time tonight.
Welcome, everybody, on a Wednesday morning. Glad you're with us. I know you're fired up for Game 5 between the Pistons and the Cavs, and I know there's a lot of people out there immediately thinking, here's what the starting lineup's got to be. It's got to be Cade Cunningham. It's got to be Karis LeVert because of his game. It's got to be Asar Thompson. It's got to be Tobias Harris, and it's got to be Paul Reed. There's your starting lineup, everybody. My goodness, man. This is what you see on social media constantly. It's like, wait a minute, man. I mean, you can't go with the ebbs and flows. So this guy had a good game last game, so I'm going to start him. There's got to be something more to it. I mean, Duncan Robinson was really good in the playoffs for the most part until the last game, wasn't he? Yeah. And you're just going to sit his ass? You want to play Karis LeVert more? I get it. You want to play Paul Reed more? Absolutely. We've said that too. Part of coaching is not panicking. You can adjust. It doesn't mean you have to overhaul. We'll get to that throughout the morning here on X's and Bros. I'm Matt Shepard. Andy McDonald is alongside the Meyer Hotline, 866-838-4843. The text is Sports Radio 21,000. You can also join us with some comments in the chat on YouTube, on X, and, of course, on Facebook as well. Tigers lose last night 10-2. That's as ugly as a 3-putt from 10 feet. And I'm not saying Andy did that yesterday at Blyfield.
How did I know that was coming to me next?
Because he got 18 holes in yesterday, even though it rained a little bit.
We did. They're nice enough to let us play at that event after, which is really cool. And they're doing some cool stuff at the Meyer LPGA Classic. If you haven't checked that out,
they were nice enough to let you play.
Well,
because
afterwards, yeah,
I got you.
They host a press conference to kind of announce like some of the stuff that's going on this year with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're hoping to get to.
Lexi Thompson was there, right?
Yes, she was the representative. They have a player every year. She flew in from another tournament that she's playing at actually just to be there for it. So that's pretty cool.
She's an awesome lady.
Yeah,
she really is. I mean, I broadcast live from there. I think 2 years ago. Her last one, was that 2 years ago? I think it was.
Well, she was retired last year, but she decided to compete in it last year. Like she wasn't like going to play anymore, but now she's decided that she's going to do select events throughout.
Gotcha.
So
yeah. Maybe it was last year. And I remember going through the breakfast buffet line, which is a pretty good breakfast.
It's phenomenal, man. They do a good job.
And she was right behind me. And, immediately you start thinking, wow, and she looks like an actress. She's a very attractive woman, of course. But I just said to her, congratulations on an incredible career. Wish you the best. Because she's had some issues. She's been very public about it, about how being on the tour can be really lonely. I mean, those are the things I think in golf we always forget. We think that everybody takes private jets and stays in 5-star hotels, and everybody wants to be their pal. And that is not the case.
No, it's not at all. And a lot of the time when people do talk to them on the tour, it's people like you and me when we need something, right? So, exactly. I mean, yeah, it's not the easiest thing in the world, that's for sure. So it says a lot that she was willing to come back and talk to that. But yeah, they had some good new stuff going on. They're trying to get to 13 million raised this year since they opened the event. They have a bunch of new restaurant vendors and stuff coming in from around this area. So that's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for it. It'll be cool.
And we're gonna be broadcasting live out there. I forget when that tournament is. When is
Father's Day weekend, and I believe that's usually around like June 15th, but I don't want to quote myself on that. But I'll get it for you really quick.
Yeah, so I know Huge is going to be out there. Billy will be there probably all week long. We're hoping that the morning show gets out there as well, because it's always great to talk with players, caddies. We've talked with caddies in the past, organizers of the event. It's fantastic. Anyway, I'm glad you were able to get your 18 holes in.
It is June 18th.
Score.
June 18th to 21st, just so people know.
June 18th through the 21st.
Yeah, that's what it is.
How'd you play, by the way?
I played good. I ended up shooting a 91, which I'm happy with at a course like that. I shot a 43 in the back, so my front was not great. I just had a couple of holes that got away from me. Playing with my boss, Jack Tolles, over at Wood TV, so maybe I was a little nervous. That's how it goes. Playing in front of your boss, you
can't be nervous playing with Jack. Give me a break. How did Jack play?
He played good. He played really good. He birdied on the back. He wouldn't stop talking about that. I'm sure I'm going to hear about it for a while. But
I'm sure that'll lead his sportscast.
Yep.
On Channel 8. Yeah. All right. Well, that's good. Tell Jack we said hello.
He will.
Like I said, Mets beat up the Tigers 10-2. It's just their 7th home win of the year. Okay. The Tigers made 2 more errors. They were 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Jack Flaherty lasted 3 2/3, allowing 6 hits, 3 earned runs. He falls to 0-4. Look. This will come out in the Tigers. Unfortunately it's a less than positive in the den, but it's a real one. When people talk about certain defenses, statistics, and if you've been listening to this show at all, I told you before the season began how I was concerned about this team's defense. And don't give me this crap that certain guys are hurt. All right. It's not like 2 guys that are hurt who play infield make a massive difference defensively, all right? But there's a few. You look at defensive run saves, you look at outs above average. You can look at errors too. That's fine. It's just not the be-all, end-all statistic that you use. Without getting too deep, all right, in certain statistics, those 3 are important for defense. Outs above average is important because it shows a player's range. Detroit is last in baseball in that category. Defensive run saves is important because of the definition of it, okay? How many runs are you saving because of your defense? Detroit ranks 25th in that category. And then, of course, you have errors. And Detroit has made far too many errors. I think they have made the 6th most errors in all of baseball after making 2 more last night. Gage Workman throws one into the concession stand in right center field after fielding at third base in what should have been an inning-ending double play. And I don't know. We all make mistakes. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell anybody that a team is supposed to be perfect. But I have no idea what Ricky Vanasco was doing on the mound on a slow roller down the first base line. It's, they say take the sure out. I don't even know if that's possible with them. It was a bad news Bears type of game.
Oh, 100%, man.
And I would say this. Yeah, a lot of teams go through it. Okay. Not every team, not like that. But a lot of teams go through it. It's probably not the same thing, but the Dodgers have lost 4 straight by 4 runs or more. It's the first time it's happened in 90 years. Okay? But it has happened. This team, and I know how people feel about it. I get the sense, Andy, that there's 2 ways people are looking at this. One is this team is irredeemable. It's over, which is way too hyperbolic. The other is, let's just blame it on all the injuries. And that's not thinking clearly either. We'll get to all that and more coming up here on X's and Bros. We're glad you're with us on an early Wednesday morning of Game 5 between the Pistons and Cavs. Tonight, we're brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth and MitchLyonsWealth.com.
How would you like to watch the Pistons in the playoffs on the biggest TV in Michigan? Well, you can get a huge deal and also get the biggest TV at your local ABC Warehouse store. You can shop online right now at abcwarehouse.com. They have locations all across Michigan. So if you want to watch the Pistons in the playoffs on the biggest TV in your neighborhood, go to your local ABC Warehouse store or shop online at abcwarehouse.com.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marx. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marx, September 3rd, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3?
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Okay, back with you here on X's and Bros. Thanks for being with us on this Wednesday morning. Always appreciate it. I know you have some choices, and for you to give us a little bit of your time is really appreciative. We're going to talk a little bit about the Tigers from last night. Game 2 of that series, by the way, is tonight with Framber Valdez getting the start after serving a 5-game suspension. He's going to pitch on 7 days rest, which is good. Quality starts in 5 of 8 overall. His last outing, 10 runs against the Red Sox. And that was obviously a very short outing. Thus the suspension. All right. So this obviously very, very much needed for the Tigers. Got to have this guy find himself and get right. All right, mentally and physically. He's talked about how, they're not talking about it. They're putting it behind him. That's great. This is also great. Casey Mize will throw a bullpen session today at Citi Field. He's eligible to come off the IL on Friday. Troy Melton will have a rehab start in Toledo tonight and can come off the IL May 24th. These are all really good things, pitching-wise. It doesn't solve some of the other things that we'll get to. Lions are going to play in Munich against the Patriots in Week 10, November 15th. They've also signed their first-round pick, Blake Miller. All right? That means here are the 8 opponents coming to Ford Field. In what order and what date, we don't know, because the reveal of the schedule comes tomorrow. Another brilliant move by NFL. The NFL knows exactly what they're doing. They're the best marketing arm on the planet. They just, in little stints, they feed you little things every once in a while to keep you talking about them.
They're always in the news. It doesn't matter.
It's perfect.
Every single time.
They are so good at what they do. I don't know if there's anybody better. Thursday, everyone's going to be excited for the schedule reveal. I want you to think about that for a minute. What other sport could say, we're going to reveal our schedule and you're going to make a big deal out of it?
There isn't one. And
there isn't. I mean, other schools or organizations, NCAA, and other sports have tried. They can't. The NFL is brilliant at what they do. Did you see the NBA Combine? They've been broadcasting that recently, all right? Where do you think they got that from? Okay? Look at all the teams that now broadcast their draft. The NHL never used to do that. They do it because of the success of the NFL. Anyway, here are the 8 opponents coming to Ford Field. Packers, Bears, Vikings, obviously. Giants, John Harbaugh will be here. Jets, Aaron Glenn and the Jets. Buccaneers, welcome back Alex Anzalone. The Saints, and the Titans. Now, first blush, I hate the whole, well, you've got the easiest schedule. Folks, I know we hear it all the time. Don't latch on to that. You know what they're basing that off of? Last year. Are teams better this year than last year? You hope. A lot of teams are. So don't believe this whole, well, they have the easiest schedule, because it's based on something that is past tense, number one. Number two, some players aren't even there anymore. Some coaches aren't even there anymore. They've got an easier schedule, quote unquote. A lot of it is, I mean, it's ridiculous to buy into that. That said, based on last year, you look at that schedule and you would say you should go no worse than 7-1. Although the Vikings beat you twice. Just a thought. Okay. Pistons, as we mentioned, try and reclaim the lead in the series with the Cavs. Their host game 5 tonight at LCA. Cleveland has yet to win a road game in the playoffs. San Antonio at home held serve, beat up Minnesota 126-97. Spurs now lead the series 3-2. Victor Wembanyama, who was, kicked out of the game because of the elbow, came back, had 27 points, 17 boards, 5 assists, and 3 blocks. 27 points, 17 boards, 5 assists, and 3 blocks. At 22 years old, he is the 3rd youngest player in NBA history to post a stat line like that in a playoff game. Who are the other 2? 3rd youngest. One player did it at age 20, and he did it in the NBA Finals against the Sixers when the star of that team was hurt. He moved from point guard to center. Magic Johnson. The other, Luka Doncic, at age 21.
I wouldn't have been able to guess either, I don't think.
So I would have guessed Magic Johnson. I wouldn't have guessed Luka Doncic.
Yeah, Luka's insane.
He's also, Wembanyama with that stat line is the 8th player to record that kind of stat line in an NBA playoff game. Here are the other 7. Wilt Chamberlain, good company. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And you figure they're all big guys. They got to be big guys for the most part, don't they? Because of the blocks. Ralph Sampson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, and Anthony Davis. That's impressive. That's really impressive.
He's really good.
Yeah. NHL, Buffalo earns a 3-2 win over Montreal. They tied the series at 2. Zach Benson, the hero. Tage Thompson had 2 helpers. Vegas trims Anaheim by a 3-2 score, and they have a 3-2 lead. Jack Eichel had a pair of assists.
That's been a pretty good series, I think.
It's been a
very
lot
of
good
fun
series.
to watch.
I agree. I think the Montreal-Buffalo series has been really entertaining.
Phenomenal too. Yeah.
And now you got Carolina waiting, who I saw a stat the other day. They have brought so much joy to the Carolinas. They've got like 55 playoff wins in the last X amount of years. The Panthers have 2. I mean, nobody else has anything close to it. Hornets don't. Panthers don't. They don't play as many games, obviously. The Panthers don't. But it's amazing. I wonder if it's becoming a hockey hotbed. It doesn't seem like it is, but you never know. Here's the Mitch Lyons Wealth poll question. Do the Pistons win Game 5? Simple. I mean, Andy's already tweeted it out because he's on top of everything. Yes or no? You can vote as often as you want. I've retweeted it, and we'll get to the results tomorrow in the 8 o'clock hour. Yesterday, with the Tigers' loss that just left you shaking your head because of how they were just fumbling and bumbling, and quite honestly, just it was embarrassing. I mean, they did have 10 hits, but they only scored twice because they were terrible with runners in scoring position. People will focus on the 2 errors, and they'll focus on Jack Flaherty, and Jack Flaherty deserved better. I don't think he was great by any stretch, but he deserved a hell of a lot better than he got. The 97 pitches in 3 2/3 innings is really concerning. But when you think of the error made by Gage Workman, you remember this. You had to go deeper into that game and use more pitches. But still, 97 pitches in 3 2/3. Don't forget some of the problems behind him, but that is way too many. I mean, it's a guy who's walked way too many. He walked 3 more last night and just hasn't been good. That said, he wasn't as bad as you would look at the final box score and the final score in general, because he gave up 3 earned runs. So not good, obviously. 6 hits. A lot of it depends on what kind of hits and where they're coming from. You look at the defense, obviously, the bullpen was horrible. All right. Jake Rogers had to make another appearance. Oh, this is funny. Hey, Jake Rogers gets to try and strike out a guy. I don't want position players pitching for me. If you're going to look at a positive, Kevin McGonigal had 2 more hits, including a double. He's got 11 doubles on the year. And Cole Keith had 2 more hits. Now, he rounded 3rd on a single to right. He was going 1st to 3rd, overthrow at 3rd base. He pops up, made a decision right away to go home. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. I have a problem with the umpire getting in the way. That's a little bit of an issue,
Ridiculous.
Don't you think?
I couldn't believe that when I watched the play of it.
I mean, these things happen in baseball. I get it. It's not like the umpire was trying to do it intentionally, but it when things are going bad for you, this is what happens sometimes. And it's really frustrating. And I know everybody at home was frustrated with it too. So that's a bit of a problem. The strikeouts, the pop-ups, they had runners at 2nd and 3rd with 1 out, couldn't get anybody home. It's, Dingler gives them an early lead with a home run, his 7th of the year. They add another one on, and then things just fall apart. As soon as Detroit takes a 2-0 lead, Flaherty gives it right back, or the Tigers give it right back. But some startling numbers that we'll get to on the other side. Got to take a quick time out. We're with you here Monday through Friday, 6 until 9, here on X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Huge here for Josh Garvey and his team at Dorn Mayhew. Now, Josh oversees the West Michigan operations. Dorn Mayhew's worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. They are one of the top accounting, CPA, and business firms in the world. They continue to grow. They can help your business with any accounting, CPA, or business need you have. And also Dorn Mayhew and Josh and the West Michigan operation, they present Talking Hoops with John Beeline. We do it every Tuesday on the Huge Show through the NBA Finals. So how far will the Pistons go in the playoffs? You can hear Coach Beeline, Josh Garvey, and myself every Tuesday on the Huge Show as we talk hoops, presented by one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms, Dorn Mayhew. Josh Garvey oversees the West Michigan operation. Their worldwide headquarters for Dorn Mayhew are in Troy, Michigan.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sportsnet. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sportsnet Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
I had mentioned just prior to the break some of the positives. I know you and I are both rolling our eyes at the same time. Come on, there's not many positives from last night in a 10-2 loss to the Mets, and there really is. I mean, since January, February, March, since April 20th, Riley Green is hitting close to 400. His on-base percentage is close to 500. His slugging percentage is over 600. Does that matter to you? I don't know. I'm just trying to give you some information here that might help you. Unfortunately, the Tigers are 7-13 during that stretch. Is that a positive? If you're going to dwell on certain players' negative play, and it's fair during a time in which this team seems to be in peril, you also have to bring up players who are actually doing their job. If we can do it in a game of much bigger magnitude like the Pistons, and people want to make excuses for certain players that they like, but can also acknowledge some of the players who are playing very good basketball, we could do the same thing in baseball, especially when it's over a 20-game stretch. So he's doing his job, okay? Actually, during this stretch of, if you want to take it back a little bit further, 27 games, April 11th, leads the majors in on-base percentage, ranks second in the majors in OPS and batting average during that span. He is a guy who has been what you hoped he would be. Doesn't mean he's complete. Find me a player who is. Did you hear the story about Cal Raleigh, who was second in the MVP a year ago? Did you hear about it? He was in such a bad slump, 0 for 27, 0 for 28. Somewhere in that neighborhood. Forgive me if I don't know the exact number, but I think it was 0 for 27. Logan Gilbert, his teammate and pitcher, said, you got to shower some of that bad karma, some of that bad stench off. So he took a shower in his full uniform. Next night had 2 hits. First time he had 2 hits in a long, long time.
That's dedication right there.
Well, I mean, the point is, it's a lot of really good players, okay? And Cal Raleigh was a good player, or is a good player. I'm sorry, it was an 0 for 38. I said 27, 28. 0 for 38. He got his first hit since April 27th the other day. So in other words, you're having some issues. I get it. All right? There's a lot of teams that have, a lot of players who have issues. How do you get through those issues? And how do you respond accordingly over another extended period of time is really important. My issue with this team, and I don't know how you get past this, Andy, and that's why I bring it up. I don't know how you get past this. And by the way, Green is, for the month of May, tied for 10th in Major League Baseball in Fangraphs WAR, wins above replacement. All right? Detroit only has, for the month of May, Detroit only had, because I think after last night, we might have eliminated one. Only position players with a positive May Fangraph WAR are Green, Workman, and Rogers. And Workman just got called up, made a terrible error last night, may have pushed him down. And Rogers doesn't play much. There's your issue, or part of it. For the month of May, the Tigers' WAR, and it's based off Fangraphs, which is a really important baseball website, they're dead last. Well, they're tied with Arizona. Even the Mets are better. And they're getting roasted. The Mets are getting roasted. Here's what we're doing. And I think it's part of the reason, okay? We're making the excuse that we've got all these guys who are injured. And it's not that I don't think it's important. I do think it's important. I think it's a big deal. But there are, last night, so a couple of things. Last night I tweeted, like, McGonigal got brushed back. On the next pitch, maybe it was 2 pitches later, he slams a double into the right for his second hit of the night. That was an awesome piece of toughness, put on display of toughness and piece of hitting. But I had mentioned, this team is having some issues, just like everybody else. And what do you get? You get people saying, yeah, but they're injured. Like Rick sent me a tweet. The good news, Shep, it's going to be a long summer. I think maybe now they'll trade Skubal and not lose him for nothing. That's his way of looking at it. Okay, that's cool. That could be. I'm not sure that'll be the case because of the injury, but that could be. Others have said, what about all the injuries? Look, this will be the third day in a row we bring this up. Injuries are part of the game. It doesn't mean 15 on the IL at the same time is, tolerable. But as we've said already, there are certain guys on this team who would make a difference. Skubal makes a difference, 100%. Mize, 100%. Troy Melton, I think so, but I don't know that. You can't base that on anything. You can think it, and I would probably be in line with you because I think he should have been a starter for you. But are you really how many times are you saying to a friend, and I think he's got great stuff, so don't get me wrong because I really like him. How many times are you saying to a friend, I think, look, they don't even have Troy Melton. He would be a difference maker. He's made 4 starts in his career. Can you really say that?
No, and what's funny about that is I think people would mention Justin Verlander before that, and he's pitched 1 game for you.
He's pitched 1 game.
And people would still bring that up as like that's a huge issue, right?
Yeah. People bring up Reese Olson. Reese Olson's never had more than 5 wins in a year. He's never been over 500 as a pitcher. He's never started more than 22 games.
Say he's never really stayed healthy either.
Right.
To get in there.
So you're gonna use that. I like Jackson Jobe. I think that's not exactly who I wanted them to take, but I like Jackson Jobe. I think he's got really good stuff. I think he's got ace-like stuff. Can I convince you that a guy who's made 10 starts in his career is a difference maker? Maybe he's similar to Nolan McLean, who's in line to win National League Rookie of the Year after just a couple of months. But can I convince you of that? That's a hard one. Skubal and Mize, I get. You want to talk about Gleyber Torres and Javier Baez instead of, Gage Workman at third base, who you probably would have had Cole Keith at third base. And he's not much better defensively. If he is better, right? Zach McKinstry, listen, this guy was a Silver Slugger a year ago and an All-Star with Gleyber Torres. Are you really missing that much? If you miss out on Gleyber Torres, Shep, they're going to fix the offense. Are you sure they're going to fix the offense? Gleyber Torres does get on base. I will give you that. But a guy who's, a 260 lifetime hitter, I mean, you're really stretching it. You are overlooking what this team's issues are to just try and convince yourself that it's not going to be a bad summer. Thank goodness the Pistons are still playing, all that kind of stuff. It's not people rooting against them. It's people looking at them with an objective eye. I like Parker Meadows. I think his defense makes a difference. Because this team's defense is bad, I think he helps this defense greatly. After the first month of the season, all I heard from people, or first week, 2 weeks of the season, all I heard from people was, this guy can't play. He should be demoted and bring up Max Clark. That's what everybody was saying. So it's just, it's a lazy way to look at it.
It is. And I think, too, when you go back to the starting pitching a little bit, like, yes, Mize and Skubal, huge. I think not having those two is a huge part of it. But when you look at all those other names you brought up, Kader Montero has given you innings that have been pretty useful, I feel like. So you can kind of take that and throw it out the window, in my opinion. It really is more about Skubal and Mize just not being there. And then I think the bullpen's the other part of it, too. I think the one person you could maybe, say you were thinking you would rely on a little bit more coming in the season would have been Will Vest. And he wasn't really healthy. I mean, I forget how many miles per hour.
He was bad when he was healthy.
He was, yeah. And it looked like I think he was throwing like his fastball like 90, 91 miles an hour during one of the broadcasts I remember I was watching. So I don't know. Maybe that's a big part of it. You expected him to be good coming in too. But it's hard to say that they made any major upgrades in the offensive side. Like what you said, like Gleyber Torres does get on base. That's the thing about this team. Like people have to lean on that because he's like the one guy that can get a runner over consistently, I guess.
Yeah, but Detroit put players Detroit put batters on base last night.
Oh yeah, no, they can't score him.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
They
That's
can't score him.
That might be why they miss Glaber, because
Right.
he's the one guy that can hit a sacrifice fly. Like you can trust him to do that, I guess.
Right. And Torkelson had a sac fly last night, but
Sure.
it's and that's the whole thing. But as I've mentioned time and time again, over and over and over again, seemingly every year, okay, what does this team lack? I think this team lacks power. Okay. They are buried among the worst in baseball in homers. They're middle of the pack in slugging, top 10 in OPS. Helped out more because of the on-base percentage. You may not know this, but I mean, this is a team that's done a better job of getting on base this year than ever before.
It's been buried by the pitching.
They're top 10 in on base.
Yeah.
That's what's helping the OPS. The slugging is not great. So anyway, I think they've got some issues that have needed addressing, and they haven't addressed them.
Well, you've called out the defense how many times? I mean, that's the thing, is like, even if there's this many injuries and these people come up and play defense, you would think that they'd be a little more fundamentally sound. Like, some of the errors they're making are just crazy. Like, organizationally, it'd be crazy that if they'd be making them in AAA, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's just wild to see some of the plays that they've been making in the field.
You're not used to major league teams doing that.
No.
Or major league players. Freddie sends us a text. Always appreciate his contributions. Here's a name I never hear anymore as a genius, Chris Fetter. Doesn't seem like he's doing great with the pitchers as he did before. With Scott Harris now into year 4, Tigers fans may not realize it. I know they wanted to Avila out because they had enough, but under Scott Harris, with Skubal leaving, not many players have developed into stars. Fans now are staring at Scott Harris's rebuild after year 4 instead of him starting it when he got here. For 4 years, he has had a team of platoon players with 0 big trades. What a joke. Okay. It's an excellent text. I'm not going to go quite that far. Scott Harris did draft Kevin McGonigal. He did draft Max Clark. He's got some good young players in the pipeline. He signed Framber Valdez. Now, a lot of general managers inherit good players. If they're good players, you want to keep those players. You want to keep those players happy. Scott Harris also signed Cole Keith to the long-term deal, right? Which I think is a smart move. I do. I think Cole Keith's a good hitter. I've said this for 3 years now. He's a good hitter. He's not very good defensively. No matter where you put him, he's not a good defensive player. That's part of my issue with this team and really the organization in general, because what you're looking at is you see a lot of guys who don't have a home defensively. And when you don't have a home, it tells me that you're not very good. You're not great at one thing defensively. He can play second. He can play third. He can play short. That's what we hear. Put him in a position, let him develop there. And they haven't done that. Guys are moving all over the place in the minor leagues. And I just don't think that's great. I don't think that's how you develop good defensive players. Kevin McGonigal made a play last night at shortstop that was unbelievable, right? In the hole with a strength of an arm. If that's the kind of player he's going to be, and we've seen it more than once, put him there and don't move him. You want to get him off his feet every once in a while? That's fine. But don't move him. Let him be your shortstop. That's why I have a problem with Cole Keith. If you wanted him to be your second baseman, put him there and believe in it. Then you go out and get Gleyber Torres. Then you tell him you're going to move him to first base. Now he's got to play at third base. I don't care what you say. You talk to any athlete, they'll publicly tell you, yeah, I mean, it's just this thing. Deep down inside, they know it's much different. His actions, all those different things, footwork, they're different. So I agree with that aspect of it. You get a bunch of platoon players. I don't know if they're platoon players. You just haven't found them a defensive home. So that might be splitting hairs. Will Skubal leave? Well, there's some reports. I think they're leaked by, certain individuals, but leaked reports that this will help Tarek Skubal or help the Tigers re-sign Tarek Skubal on a short-term deal. Somebody suggested giving him 3 years at $150 million. And I'm like, first of all, I don't think the agent would take that. Second of all, if I'm the team, I don't do that. $50 million a year for a guy who's had 3 arm surgeries? No thanks. I wouldn't do that. The going rate, right now at 42 million, you're going to have to give him more than 42 million. So the argument of 50, what's the difference? Not a big difference. I know, but for me, I'm just saying for me, that would be tough to swallow. All right. Players developing is interesting. Who do we look at in the last 4 years who's gotten better? Riley Green's gotten better. Oh, and by the way, Scott Harris also traded for Matt Vierling. Matt Vierling's been a nice player for Detroit. He hasn't been an all-star. I get that. He's not going to be. All right. But he's been a nice player for the Tigers. You want him as a guy coming off your bench. You want him as a guy who can play right field for you, play center field for you, and play third base for you, and give you an honest day's work. I like that. So I would keep Matt Vierling. You're not going to have stars at every position unless you're the Dodgers. All right? So you need certain players to be able to come in and fill that need. A need when a guy goes down. A need when a guy got to get off his feet. All right? Something along those lines. A need for a guy who gets hurt during the game. But Riley Green's gotten better. Colt Keith, hitting-wise, very good. McGonigal's solid. And Dingler. He didn't draft Dingler, but Dingler has been considered a top 10 catcher. So when you talk about the development of young players, and we're not even talking about the minor league guys. Erie, even West Michigan at times, and Toledo, they've had really good seasons. That means some of the young players are developing, probably more in Erie and West Michigan than it would be Toledo, because Toledo sometimes at the AAA level, you can win with guys who have been in the major leagues for a while. And that's not development. Shep Torque was lazy getting back to first base. Will AJ bench him like he did Javi 2 years ago? I was shocked to even hear Dirks be critical. Torque didn't get back, but as expected, the play-by-play guy had no comment. Total BS. Fans aren't stupid. I know damn well I'm not stupid. I know what I see. Spencer Torkelson's been a disappointment. He has been. Look, earlier this year, somebody had sent us a text and said, Shep, you got to get rid of Torkelson. I said, it's early. You got to be careful. Torkelson goes on a run. Homers in 5 consecutive games. 6 homers in 7 games, or whatever it was. And that same person then texted us and said, hey, you were right. I didn't say I was right. I said, it's too early. At some point, you're going to come to a conclusion. He is not consistent enough. And that's a hard thing to do in baseball. But you can do that defensively. He should be better defensively than he is. For a guy who has logged as many games at first base as Spencer Torkelson has, he should be better at first base than he is. That's an issue. We'll get to more texts on the other side. This is X's and Bros. We're brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth, and glad you're with us on a Wednesday morning on the Michigan Sports Network.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marks, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Huge Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Huge here for the incredible Crystal Mountain Resort. Now they're located in Thompsonville, Michigan, about 2 hours, 25 minutes or so northwest of GR. They offer up 36 holes of championship golf, including Mountain Ridge, which was named the 2025 Michigan Course of the Year and is home to the Michigan Women's Open the last 24 years. And if you're looking for plans for Memorial Day weekend, they got a huge deal. Stay 2 nights, get the third one free. You must book by May 13th. Golf, spa, hiking, biking, art park, they're all open now. But the rest of the summer activities kick off Memorial Day weekend with the 19th annual Michigan Beer and Brat Festival at Crystal Mountain. More details at crystalmountain.com. They got spa days coming up, one of the top spas in Michigan. See for yourself what they offer. Go to crystalmountain.com. That is crystalmountain.com, and plan your getaway.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
Back with you on X's and Bros on a Wednesday morning. Thanks for being with us. You can follow us on our social media pages at XB Mornings. Mine is Shep Mad on X. You can contribute in the chat because we stream live on X and Facebook and YouTube as well. Mike has done that. We need power. I still don't understand why we didn't get Eugenio Suarez at the deadline last year or in free agency this year. He went back to Cincinnati, settled deadline $15 million. He didn't want 40 to 45, or we didn't want 40 to 45 homers, ? Hey, look, I'm going to tell you, Mike, I thought the same thing. I will say this. If I'm going to sit here and complain about the defense, Mike, I cannot tell you that this team needed Eugenio Suarez at third base. He's not good defensively. That said, can you overlook that defense and his strikeouts because he pounced out 197 times last year? Can you overlook that for home runs? Let me ask you this. This is how you might be able to answer that question. If I said to you immediately, I want the first thing that pops into your mind. Andy, you ready? I'm going to say a name. I want you to tell me the first thing that pops into your mind. Ready?
Yep, sounds good.
Kyle Schwarber.
Home runs.
Okay. There you go. I mean, that's it.
I mean, like, yes, I can't understand because he strikes out quite a bit too.
Yeah,
right?
he does.
So that's
strikes out a lot.
you could go either way with that for sure, but I would definitely tell you home runs first, just because when you think about the Phillies and their big hits, he's hit a lot of them. So
yeah, Kyle Schwarber struck out 197 times last year, but here's what he did: he hit 56 homers, and he drove in 132 runs. Both of those categories led the National League. That's what Mike's talking about. How good is Kyle Schwarber defensively? He's not. He stinks.
I'm gonna guess he grades out very low.
That's why he's the DH. In his last 4 years, you ready? 200 strikeouts, 215 strikeouts, 197, 197.
And if he was here, that's all you would hear about if the Tigers weren't winning 95 games.
Thank you, Andy.
Yep.
You wouldn't hear 46, 47, 38, 56. You wouldn't hear 94, 104, 104, 132. Those are home runs and then RBIs. So, Mike, I agree with you. I've said this for years now that they need more right-handed power. All right, they do. That is obvious. Would it be a Eugenio Suarez? They needed a third baseman because they still don't have one, and they needed right-handed power. He had 46 homers last year, 196 strikeouts. I said 197. Sorry, I was off one. Year before, 49 homers, 176. All right? Or I'm sorry, 30 home runs and 176. The year before, 22 homers, 214 punch-outs. That's worse than what Riley Green gave you last year with 202 strikeouts. Riley Green gave you 202 strikeouts, but he gave you 36 bombs and 111 runs driven in. You would not be settling for that. You would say it's a bust. You would say the year before when he had 31 homers, but 196 strikeouts. And by the way, in addition to all that, he can't field his position very well. That's where my mind oftentimes goes. I'm looking for the perfect guy, and there isn't one. There's no Mike Schmidt or George Brett there, unfortunately. But you have to live with something. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to live with a guy who's going to strike out with the bases loaded? Strike out with runners in scoring position a lot? He's going to drive in some runs for you, but you're going to take the good with the bad. So I hear where Mike's coming from. Totally. Because right now, in the words of Dire Straits, it ain't working, is it? All right, you ready for this one? All right, let me give you this real quick, and then we'll dive back into it. Andy had just talked about his golf game at Blythefield, which is where the Meyer Classic is, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And we got the PGA Championship that starts tomorrow, right? Okay. Good luck to Ryan Linehan, Michigander, who won at Bandon Dunes a couple of weeks ago to qualify, and He's a pro at Walnut Creek Country Club, and he's going to be there. So good luck to him. First 26 starts. Okay. Who's the best golfer in your lifetime?
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods.
I mean, my lifetime. Yeah. I mean,
okay. So
I
for me,
I understand the argument with Jack Nicklaus, but yeah.
Yeah, I would hope you would. 26 major starts after their first 26 major starts. Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, and Scotty Scheffler. This may blow your mind. I don't know. Wins in those majors. Jack had 5, Tiger had 5, Scotty had 4. Top 10s in those first 26 majors. Jack had 15, Tiger had 12, Scotty had 17. Top 20 finishes in those first 26 majors. Jack had 19, Tiger had 19, Scotty had 21. Average score in their first 26 majors. Jack Nicklaus, 72.8. Tiger Woods, 70.9. Scotty Scheffler, 69.9. And lastly, their total scores in their first 26 majors. Nicklaus, a plus 81. Tiger, a minus 18. Scotty Scheffler, a minus 112.
It's incredible stuff, man. I mean, he's unreal.
He's better in his first 26 majors than the 2 greatest golfers of all time, except for one category, and that's wins. And he's 1 short. That's the best way to explain it. While you and your buddies are getting ready for your golf event and you're just talking and chopping it up, and you start bringing up something to needle them and say, I think Scotty's as good as Tiger or Jack. They'll be like, oh, give me a break, blah, 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 blah. And then you pull that one out. The reason they don't believe it, or anybody believes it, is because of the longevity. Scotty hasn't had a chance to be in that longevity frame yet.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head of that. That's exactly it.
But if you're going to compare apples to apples in their first 26 majors, Scheffler's better in total score, average round, number of top 10 finishes, and number of top 20 finishes.
No,
he won 4. Jack and Tiger won 5.
Every time you talk about Scotty, it doesn't feel, it feels like it's not like if he's going to get to that point where he's considered with that. It's just like, how long will it take? You know, it's what it feels like, just because he's been so good for so many years now that he's been able to.
Or is he a golf lifer? The difference is Jack Nicklaus never made this kind of money. Tiger Woods helped everybody make this kind of money. And Scotty Scheffler, now that he makes this kind of money, is the drive there to be as good, or dare I say great, as Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus were for so long. He doesn't have to work another day in his life. His kids will never have to work a day in their lives if they don't want to. And his grandkids won't have to work another day in their lives. Not like they're working already, but you understand my point. So I thought that was kind of an interesting little nugget.
No, I like that, man. I think sometimes Scotty just doesn't get talked about at all in that light, and he probably should. So
Amen to that.
People do. It's just like I don't. Maybe it's just because he looks like a normal guy and acts like a normal guy is why he doesn't get it. But I'm telling you, everything he does has impressed me.
Yeah, he's not overly exuberant, right? I think a lot of people, here's what they want. They want the emotion. If you're an emotional person, you want to see it in emotion for somebody else. And he hits a bad shot, throws his club. Just kidding. But that's the emotion.
His days are behind.
Right. Scotty, a pro once told me, you're not good enough to get that mad. That's a good point. Scotty Scheffler doesn't show that emotion. Even when he hits it, when he sticks it to within 3 feet, there's no emotion. When he yanks it left into the water, there's no emotion. It's very little for him. I think that's part of it. All right, when we come back, we'll get back to some of your texts. We're brought to you this hour by our friends at Meijer. Game 5 tonight, Pistons and Cavs. We'll be talking about that and the fallout from a Tigers' bad loss as we roll on a Wednesday morning on X's and Bros.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Where are you watching the Tigers this year? Superfly Hayes here for Detroit Sports Net. Sign up like the Ute Show did with the Detroit Sports Net Tigers Wings package. Subscription info at tigers.com and MLB.com.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
Back with you here on X's and Bros. Andy McDonald alongside. I want to get to the Daily Wager. Andy's got to leave at 8 o'clock. And we'll welcome in John Ilk, which is great. We appreciate John's help very much today. But Andy's a key part of the show. Want to make sure that we get the Daily Wager. It's brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. We'll get to the results of the – well, yeah, let's do the results of the Mitch Lineswell poll question from yesterday, too. Why don't we do this a little earlier, about an hour earlier than we usually do. So first, let's do the results of the poll question. We asked you this, and it's brought to you by Mitch Lions Wealth, MitchLinesWealth.com. What should J.B. Bickerstaff do with Jalen Duren? Game 5 tonight, man. Pistons and Cavs. Should he come off the bench, don't play him at all, or keep starting him but play fewer minutes? I would guess the latter would be best. But I can't believe people would think you go into a game, any game, and say, I'm limiting this player to X amount of minutes. You can't do that if a player's playing well, just like you shouldn't do it if he's not playing well. I'm sorry, I'm getting him 25 minutes. Coach, he's 1 for 11. I don't care. He's got to play 25 minutes because that's what I said. No, you have to adjust in-game. This is what's called in-game adjustments. Anyway, so what did people say about J.B. Bickerstaff and Jalen Duren and what should happen tonight?
When you say it like that, it actually sounds ridiculous. Like, yeah, he's 1 for 11. Let's leave him in no matter what.
Yeah, got to play him 25.
Anyway, right. Coming off the bench was 40%, which is insane to me. I don't think there's any way you'd take him out of the starting lineup at this point in the season. But nope. Unless he is, I don't know. But anyway, don't play him as 12%. So people did vote for that. And then play him fewer minutes did at least win at 48%, which I think is the most logical answer there.
Yeah, I think it is too.
But like again, if he does come out and plays great tonight, it's not like anybody's gonna want to come out of the games. You're gonna be like, oh, that's what he was doing all season. So it's it's a coaching thing. Just gotta know what to do.
Do you believe in your conversations with athletes over the years? Do you believe that playing a starting role and a reserve role in basketball are different?
Oh yeah.
I agree.
For sure. 100%. Yeah. If
players will tell you that it is a different mindset.
It could even mess. I mean, with a team like the Pistons, that could, if they, I mean, I don't know where you're going with this for sure, but if it was like Paul Reed starting over him, what is like what people want, that would be like, that would mess with some chemistry too. I feel like a little bit with the team.
Yeah. I think Paul Reed can play with all the starters. There's no question. Do you know how many games Paul Reed has started in his 2 years in Detroit?
No, I don't.
11.
Okay.
So he's done it.
It was low. I didn't even know if he
but it is low. I mean, so he's done it, but it is low. Okay. So, how about the Daily Wager? It was Wembanyama last night, right?
It was.
In case people missed it, Victor Wembanyama went absolute berserk. 27 points, 17 boards, 5 assists, 3 blocks, 8th player to record that kind of stat line in an NBA playoff game all time. Go ahead.
Like I said, that was kind of my reasoning going for him yesterday. It's just because he was supposed to be maybe suspended, but didn't get suspended. I felt like he was going to come out and try to prove something to people, and he did. So I had him at 14 rebounds. It was plus 109, so he had plus money for that and a hit. This tonight, I've been looking around, and I was going to stick with the NBA, but I decided to go with the NHL just because I like this line so much, and it's a feel thing for me. I'm going with the Avalanche minus 1.5 tonight to knock out the Wild and end the series. I feel like them coming back home. I just have a feeling that it'll be too much for Minnesota, and I see that offense from Colorado eventually pulling away and winning by at least 2. So I'm taking the Avalanche at minus 1.5. So they got to win by 2 goals. It's plus 120, which is really good value in my opinion.
That is a gutsy pick. I give you a ton of credit. It's really gutsy.
It's just it's 100% a feel thing for me.
Right. Until you look at the numbers, and the numbers would tell you Minnesota, Colorado scores over 4 goals a game in the postseason. They are so good. They are clearly the most talented team. That doesn't mean they always win, but they are clearly the most talented team. The 2 highest scoring teams in the postseason so far this year are Colorado and Minnesota in goals per game.
Yeah, and the way that I look at it is even in game 1 when the Minnesota scored 6 goals, the Avalanche scored 9 and still would have covered that 1.5. So they just, I don't know, man. They can outscore anybody, I feel like.
Yeah, that's well said. All right. So we'll make sure we follow that. The Daily Wager brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resorts and their sportsbook, Ascend. Let me get to a few more texts, and then at 7:35, we'll turn the page and we'll talk Pistons and Cavs for sure. Let's see here. Shep, it's obvious this Tigers team needs 2 to 3 really big trades to change some players for others. It's becoming apathetic here. Most boring watch ever. Well, hey, listen, that might be a little hyperbolic, most boring watch ever, but because there were some Lions seasons that you and I went through that were really boring. All right. When the Pistons lost 28 games in a row, that was boring. Maybe a little entertaining. Look, some of these Tiger teams, boring by far. Last night, I will say this. I agree with the texter. It was boring to watch this team fumble its way through 9 innings. You just don't feel, and you guys know how I feel about AJ Hinch. I think he's a really good manager. Don't feel like they're always really prepared. And that's not an indictment on the coaching. It's an indictment on the players and their mindset, and it's a problem. And it's strange to me because Green's mindset, McGonagall's mindset, Cole Keith's mindset, these guys, I mean, historically, they'll tell you, they're locked in. Dylan Dingler, locked in. Maybe they're just not very good. And I'm not saying those players because I think those players are good. If I said to you, Andy, save 5 players on this team right now, who are they?
I mean,
I probably just mentioned 4.
Like right now, not injured.
Correct.
Like, so on the current team, yeah, I'd say Dylan Dingler, Riley Green. After that,
or Kevin McGonigal.
I mean, yeah, Kevin McGonigal. Yep, I guess that's slipping me for
Cole
sure.
Keith,
I like
Cole
Keith's bat. I was gonna say, yep, for sure. After that, gets a little. I mean, yeah, I don't know. No one's really. Honestly, I like Matt Vierling in the role that you kind of said with him. So that's probably the guy that I would keep too. But.
Okay. I could definitely buy that. That's where the 5th name was going to come from for me, for the players now. Now, if Tarek Skubal and Casey Mize are there, it's a little different story. Perhaps for some people, if it's Gleyber Torres. It's a good comment regarding trade. Do you make a trade just for trade's sake? It depends on what you can get back for them. I don't know what the value is. How many other teams? This is what I always say. I thought about bringing up this topic today, Andy, about Giannis Antetokounmpo, because there's all these websites that are suggesting there are about 5 teams out there that could trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo. All right. Detroit is not one of them. At least they don't list them as one. And my mind immediately goes to, what would I give up for him? And immediately people will go, well, I would give up Ron Holland. I'd give up Jalen Duren. I would give up this guy and then a future couple of firsts. And I get it. But then I think to myself, you as a general manager have to go in front of your media and your fans and say, we just acquired a guy who can't shoot, but he's really good defensively. Another guy who didn't even look like himself in the postseason after having a really good regular season. We don't know the reason for that. And we got future firsts. I mean,
you'd be admitting that you're, I guess, selling off and hoping for some. I don't know. If it was Jalen Duren, maybe the GM would use that he's young. That whole thing. He's got time to develop.
For sure. He's a young, exciting player and can play solid defense. Not going to be all first team, all defense, but he's a talented player. And then, so I think that with the Tigers, who are the trades? Who are you moving that is going to bring you back so much in return that's going to make you better quickly? Skubal before the injury? Now, I don't know. I don't know what the market value is for him. Anybody else? Who can you trade on this team that you're going to say, yeah, he's going to bring back a haul for us? Probably not. Shep, this team was not injured last year when they had a 15-game lead and couldn't hit anymore. What's the excuse by fans? Hold these owners and general managers to a higher level and change you. They charge you so much money to watch games, take state money to build their stadiums. Wake up. How do you argue with that? It's pretty much impossible to argue with that. We will turn to Pistons and Cavs when we come back on X's and Bros. Stay with us on a Wednesday morning, brought to you by Meijer.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
The stock market goes up and then it goes down. It's fine while you're saving for retirement, but as you get closer to retirement, it can cause stress. Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. In my NFL days, this season could be a real roller coaster and a lot of fun, but roller coasters in retirement aren't as much fun. Do world events have you wondering if your retirement is safe? Will your money last even if the stock market were to take a dive? Have you had your retirement account stress tested to see what kind of risk you're actually taking? Let's not leave your retirement to chance. Hope is not a plan. Contact the pros at Mitch Lyons Wealth today and put us to work for you. Let's ensure your plan works even if the stock market doesn't. Text PLAN, P-L-A-N, to 844-867-8335. That's PLAN to 844-867-8335. MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. Investment advisory services are offered through MLW Advisory Services, LLC, DBA Mitch Lyons Wealth, a registered investment advisor.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
It's unacceptable. It is. We didn't do enough, obviously, to help ourselves, and I'll start there. But ever since we came to Cleveland, the whistle has changed. There's no way that one guy on their team shoots more free throws than our team. We're not a settle team. We're not a jump shooting team. We drive the ball, attack the paint. So what was done out there tonight, it's frustrating. But we can't allow that to be the reason why, because we didn't play well enough and play to the best of our capabilities. But again, you look at the foul count, you look at the disparity, and that's hard to overcome. And you wonder, the reason why. It's interesting, since Kenny made his comments publicly about, us, the whistle's changed in this series.
Truer words never spoken. JB Bickerstaff following the Game 4 loss, 112-103, a couple of nights ago in Cleveland, in which Detroit, his team, had just 12 free throw attempts. Cleveland had 34. And this is not one of there's a couple of them really important things. I got a couple more texts I got to get to, but really important things that need to be mentioned. First and foremost is, though, that disparity is not where you see a lot of things at the end of games where teams are just fouling so they can get the ball back. So that's not the case. That's number one. Number two, Detroit took 60 shots inside the arc. And that doesn't always tell you the whole story, but 60, almost twice as many as the other team, and yet you're going to the line 12 times to their 34. Something is out of whack. Folks, this is the issue people have with the NBA. Because you know what's going to happen. It's very predictable. We think this. Cleveland went 34, Detroit went 12. Next game, you watch how close, how almost lopsided, some people may say lopsided, I would say it'll be closer. You watch the difference in the whistle tonight. During a game, when a team has been whistled 4 or 5 times in a row, how much more can it be? The other team is bound to get the next whistle. That's the belief that people have, because the NBA has allowed itself to do that. JB Bickerstaff's absolutely right. His team, it's not like his team wasn't aggressive. I'm not saying they played more aggressive and were going downhill and driving the lane and doing all that stuff every single time down, but they were more aggressive than 12 free throw attempts would indicate. What's the old cliche in the NBA? Usually referees are going to side with the team that is more aggressive. Detroit was plenty aggressive. They will come out super aggressive tonight, and they will force the referees to blow their whistle. You watch. Detroit goes to the line a minimum of 24 times tonight. I think that's what's going to happen. That's just the way the league works. Via text. Shep, this isn't necessarily just at you, but you said it again earlier today. I hear from a lot of people, and you said that Scott Harris drafted Kevin McGonigal and Max Clark. Great, he did. When you and everyone say that, you make it sound like Max Clark is going to come up here and be here for 10 years. No way he fails. Even Kevin McGonigal, I'm rooting for him. Pretty sure he's going to be really good. But do we know that just because he signed a big contract? We're assuming he's going to be good. I think that's fair. I do. I mean, what I'm saying is those are two really talented players. That's all. McGonigal is legit. We've got a deep enough sample size now, at least to recognize he's a guy who can play. It doesn't mean we think he's an all-star or an all-time great or the best player we've ever seen. I had a young guy tell me about a month ago, Kevin McGonigal is probably the best hitter I've ever seen. I said, you haven't seen much baseball then. And he's like, oh, you're a hater? I said, no, I'm not a hater at all. Just the opposite. I like him a lot. I'm just not going to get caught up in 1 month's time of watching a player play the game I've watched for 30, 40 years and tell you he's the best I've ever seen. And if that's you, you just haven't watched much baseball because you never saw a guy like Tony Gwynn. You haven't even seen Luis Ariz. Dude hasn't won a batting title. Guy's played a cup of coffee, but he looks legit. Does he not? Absolutely. So I understand there are plenty of examples who players come up, they do well, and then they fall down. Alek Manoah is a really good example. Ever hear of him? Played for Toronto. was a starter in the All-Star game. Where is he now? Great question. So guys can excel and fall down. He looks like a ball player. Max Clark looks like a ball player. They were good picks. That's all I'm saying. All right. Jack did it with clubs. So this is in reference to our golf segment there with Scotty Scheffler and Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. And in case you're tuning in late, they're measured by their first 26 majors. Scotty Scheffler is better in average, shots under par, number of top 20s and top 10s, better than Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus in all those categories. The one where he lacks is the number of wins. Jack and Tiger had 5 wins in their first 26 majors. Scotty Scheffler has 4. Jack did it with clubs heads smaller than a nickel. Tiger did it with many of golf's top golfers around and just was so mentally strong golfers feared him. He made the golf world beyond rich. I said that. Scheffler is great, but he's doing it with golfers who, when they lose, run to the winner and hug them because finishing 20th clears them $100,000 and a sponsor sending them big checks for finishing 20th. It doesn't mean that Scotty Scheffler is playing against worst players. Does it? Here's the problem with that argument. The problem is that you see so many. Everybody assumes that Tiger just played against the very best. And I'm not saying he didn't. Jack Nicklaus, I think, this is my opinion now, I think Nicklaus played against better players than Tiger Woods did. Nicklaus played against Seve Ballesteros and Jose Maria Olazabal and Lee Trevino and Tom Watson and Lanny Watkins is a really good player. Okay. He played against Tom Kite, who was a really good player. Fred Couples in his prime. Okay. Ben Crenshaw, who was a great player. He played against some of the great Ray Floyd, phenomenal player. Tom Weiskopf, phenomenal player. 70s and 80s. Those dudes were, Nick Faldo, just as tough as some of the people that Tiger Woods has faced. Bernhard Langer still gets it done. It's on the old man's tour. Greg Norman was a great player. Okay? These guys were phenomenal. It's not like he played against chump change. Scotty Scheffler's playing against great players now too. Just because they're making more money for finishing 20th compared to back in the day doesn't mean that they're any less talented, though, than when Tiger Woods plays against them. I'm not going to say guys of this era would be so much better than players of the Woods or the Nicklaus era, but just because they're making more money for finishing lower on the leaderboard doesn't mean they're less players. I know some of us get a little jaded when we get older in life and we think, oh my God, these guys make so much money even when they lose. Where can the competitive nature be? That's not fair, because you would hope that the greats, okay, there's plenty of really good players out there right now that Scotty Scheffler has to beat on a regular basis. So I don't judge it based on that. Shep, for a guy who has been to thousands of pressers, what do you think of players bringing their kids to post-game pressers during big playoff games? That's a great question, because Joel Embiid did that. I get tired of it. The kids are cute, okay? I have 4 kids. I loved every minute of it, okay? I'd turn the clock back if I could, all right? It's awesome. It's a look at me moment. Every sports show's got to get this on. Why? Because, oh, look at how cute that kid is. You never know what that kid might say. I don't know who started doing it. I think it gets a little old. I hate to sound like a curmudgeon. It's probably not the best sound right now for parents out there who are driving around and going, what the hell's wrong with you? I love kids, man. I do. There's no better time in my life than when my kids were all involved in youth sports and they were bringing home drawings and things like that. It doesn't mean in a serious moment after a game 4 loss or game 5 loss that I want to see a player with their child up there. Go up there, answer some questions, and get out. What are you doing for the child there as the parent? What is it you're doing? What is Joel Embiid the other day with his child on his lap? What is it accomplishing? I've missed being with my kid because I'm away so long and all this other stuff. I get it. You got a long off season now. You get a chance to be with them for a long period of time. That's my take on it. I know it doesn't sound very nice, but that's just the way it is. Before Andy gets out of here, I wanted to go through this. I came across a really, really cool little nugget of information regarding the NFL. All right?
I'm here, so let's go.
Okay. What's the best nickname of any NFL team you've ever heard of?
Like just the name of the team that isn't like the city, or you're saying like just an actual nickname that people kind of came up with and caught on?
A nickname of a group. So I'll give you an example. The Steel Curtain. When I was a kid, the Pittsburgh Steelers played, and they had L.C. Greenwood, Ernie Holmes, Dwight White, and Mean Joe Green. Then they had Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, and Andy Russell. They had Donnie Shell. They had Mel Blount. They were all badasses, and they won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years, I believe. And they were known as the Steel Curtain. That's a really cool nickname. What's the coolest nickname you can think of any NFL team? Your lifetime. I don't expect you to know who.
Yeah, for me, mine is definitely not. I don't think as epic, but the Legion of Boom is the one that I always think of for the Seahawks.
Right.
I love that nickname, man. Like that's just like it's for football. It's perfect. I feel like.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I thought if you were going to go offense, you might go the greatest show on turf for the Rams. For me, I loved the Purple People Eaters. That was the Minnesota Vikings. That's Carl
really
Eller. Yeah, it's Carl Eller, Jim Marshall, Gary Larson, Alan Page, later became a judge. You had Matt Blair, Jeff Seaman as linebackers. You had Bobby Bryant, who got burned, and Nate Wright, who got burned by Drew Pearson in the 1975 NFC Championship game in Minnesota. Roger Staubach, the Hail Mary, the original Hail Mary. All those things, all right? So I love the Purple People Eaters. And it made me start thinking a little bit. Before I knew what football was all about, the Fearsome Foursome, that were the LA Rams. That was Merlin Olsen and Rosie Greer and guys like that. All right. The Doomsday Defense, that was early Tom Landry's success. When Tom Landry took over the Dallas Cowboys as their first ever head coach, they were awful, an embarrassment. They got better. And as they got better and they started winning Super Bowls, they had that Doomsday Defense. That was Bob Lilly. That was, what's his name? Jordan. What the hell? What was Jordan's first name? I forget. The linebacker. Anyway, whatever. Mel Renfro, guys like that. That was the Doomsday Defense. How about the Monsters of the Midway? Do you know who the Monsters of the Midway are?
I think I remember the name. Yeah.
Okay, that's the Bears. That's the 85 Bears.
That's what I was gonna say. I knew.
Okay.
I thought I had
That's
something to do
Steve
with Chicago.
McMichael. Yeah, Steve McMichael, Richard Dent, Mike Singletary, Gary Fensick, Dave Dewerson. That's those guys. All right. Orange Crush. Have you heard of the Orange Crush?
Nope.
Okay. Orange Crush was back in the, you notice I'm dating myself, obviously, but these are the old time NFL teams. Orange Crush was Carl Mecklenburg. All right. That was Steve Atwater. That was those great Denver defenses way back in the day when John Elway and maybe even before him, Craig Morton was the quarterback of the Denver Broncos back then.
So the Motor City Kitties doesn't come to
Motor City Kitties is not. I don't believe it would reach a top 10.
No.
Here's another one for you. You ready? The No Name Defense. Do you know who the No Name Defense is?
No.
When the Miami Dolphins went 17-0, the last undefeated team in NFL history, they had the no-name defense. That was Nick Bonacani, those types of guys, all right? That was before Marino. Marino had the Killer Bees, which I thought was a good one.
Yeah, I remember
that was Lyle Blackwood and those guys. Okay. But the no-name defense were Manny Fernandez and guys like that who people didn't reckon. Jake Scott was a great safety back then. New York Sack Exchange. Do you know who that is?
No.
That's Joe Klecko. Yeah, that's Joe Klecko, Mark Gastineau. That's the Jets of the Richard Todd era, which I think is pretty interesting.
I mean, the Killer Bees, when you said that, like in my day and age, that was the Steelers with Big Ben and Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. That's what people always called them.
Okay.
That's like what I thought of when you said that.
Good. I like that. Yeah, that's I think it's hard to be the quote unquote killer bee if you're on offense, but I suppose you can be when you're killing people with your offense the way that the Steelers did back then. Oh, that was good. But the Dolphins back then had a number of guys whose last name started with B, and they were outstanding.
Yeah, that's an awesome nickname for a defense, man.
So of those nicknames, you said the Legion of Boom, and of course that's the Richard Sherman, that's the Cam Chancellor, that's the Bobby Wagner, Seattle.
When you think of any of that success with Seattle, that's like what I think of right away. It's like that time frame. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people who felt like that's as good a
12th man,
defense as
13th man,
maybe
whatever
you've
they
ever seen.
call themselves for their stadium too. I forget what it was with their crowd, but I think it was the 12th man or something like that.
The 12th man, yeah. It's the 12th man, right. My point is those are some of the best nicknames of all time. Only two of them are in your era or of recent era. Those two, as you mentioned, the Legion of Boom and the Greatest Show on Turf, and you didn't even mention Greatest Show on Turf. All these other cool nicknames. What kind of nickname can you come up with for the Lions?
That's tough. I mean, I'm trying to think if they even like had one at all during this time right now. But
yeah, during their success, and they've had some really good success.
Yeah, I'm thinking about when they had the 15-2 season and stuff. That's kind of when you would have figured like something would have came up for their offense, probably.
Exactly. And I just got thinking about it. I couldn't come up with one. And the reason is because I don't think there's one particular area that defines this team. I remember Washington, the Washington Redskins. Oh, my God. Yeah, I know. They're the Commanders now. But back in the day, they had the Hogs. People actually dressed up and had snouts, pig snouts, because they had the Hogs. That was the offensive line
for the
led
Lions,
by Joe Jacoby.
For the Lions, they did have Sonic and Knuckles. That was like a thing at least.
It was a thing.
It was a
You're
thing.
right about that.
People said that.
I
That was
know.
they used that.
I know. It was the thing. It's a tough one for me to stomach. All right, I promise. On the other side, we'll talk basketball. John Ilk is in for Andy McDonald. Have a great day, Andy. We'll talk to you tomorrow. In the meantime, we welcome your thoughts via text, Sports Radio 21,000, or in the chat as we stream live on YouTube, X, and Facebook, or call us on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843 on a Wednesday morning.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Ferris Coffee's been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Ferris Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Dad, here's 3 reasons why we should go to the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give.
Okay.
1, you can spend Father's Day weekend with some real golfers.
Ouch.
2, it's a good time for a good cause. Foodie fun, family fun, and fun helping feed neighbors in need.
And 3.
3, do you really need another reason?
Join the fun June 18th through 21st at the Meyer LPGA Classic for Simply Give. Learn more and get tickets at MeyerLPGAClassic.com.
Celebrate the soul of folk and Americana. The Lumineers Automatic World Tour comes to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort Sunday night, July 19th, with special guest Josiah and the Bonnevilles, part of the Soaring Eagle Outdoor Summer Concert Series. Tickets start at $67 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. Showtime 8 p.m. See the Lumineers live with Josiah and the Bonnevilles, July 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Final hour of this Wednesday edition of X's and Bros. We're brought to you this hour by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. We welcome in our friend John Ilk, who takes over for Andy for this final hour. And John was a big fan of the NBA. He's looking forward to Game 5 tonight. Pistons hosting the Cavs. And watched a little bit of the Spurs, more than a little bit of the Spurs and Timberwolves last night. John, I said this earlier today. Give me a player who put together a stat line in an NBA playoff game that Victor Wembanyama did last night. 27 points, 17 boards, 5 assists, and 3 blocks. There are 7 others who have done that. You're a basketball guy. Give me one name on who would have done something like that.
Tim Duncan?
Tim Duncan is one of them. Good. That's one. Give me another one.
Shaq?
Shaq is another. That's 2. You have heard of all of these guys, and I'll give you a hint. They're all big guys.
Patrick Ewing?
Nope. I'll give you 3 strikes. You got Shaq and Duncan.
Alonzo Mourning?
Alonzo Mourning is incorrect. That's strike 2. One more before John Flaherty sets you down. Think all-time great big men.
David Robinson?
It's a great guess. Incorrect. Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Hakeem Olajuwon, who I think is one of the most underrated big men of all time, Shaq, Duncan, and then Ralph Sampson, not saying he's an all-time great, and Anthony Davis. Those are your 7 in addition to Victor Wembanyama. Pretty damn good company, don't you think? All of those guys are remembered for, obviously, their height, but remembered for just how steady a player they were at one point in their career. Would you say, let's see, Ralph Sampson was such an incredible, enticing player because of his size coming out of Virginia. But think about that. All those guys, Wilt's a Hall of Famer, Kareem Sampson is, I believe, yep, Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, and Anthony Davis, who's not yet, but might be. 6 out of the 7 Hall of Famers, the other one's still playing. That's not bad. Not bad company at all. All right, Pistons play tonight, Game 5 against the Cavs. You and I are both fired up for this. Really excited for it. We know this. There is one specific time during this series that everything changed. The moment this series probably changed was when Donovan Mitchell took to the podium and started questioning fouls going in Detroit's favor. And I believe it was after Game 2. The whistle disparities have changed dramatically. Okay? Since Mitchell said that, the Cavs have taken 89 free throws to Detroit's 54. And that's with the Pistons averaging 11 less triple attempts than Cleveland. That's with the Pistons averaging more drives and 2-point attempts per game by almost 10 per game than Cleveland. And yet this is the way it happens. Very strange, don't you think? Probably the key to the series. And that's why I think Detroit is going to shove it down their throat tonight, as in being aggressive. I don't mean by winning the game, but I mean being aggressive. Here's how even this series has been. And I brought this up in the Orlando series too, even when Detroit was down 3-1 at the time. Points, Pistons have scored 430. Cleveland has scored 426. Rebounds, Detroit's outboarded them by 19. Assists, Detroit has 2 more. Steals, Detroit has 15 more. Blocks, Cleveland has 11 more. Fouls, Detroit has 20 more fouls called against them than Cleveland, which leads to 105 free throw attempts for the Cavaliers, 89 for the Pistons. You look at the point differential strictly from the free throw line, and it is 16 points. So certain areas, total points, rebounds, close. Everything else, to a certain extent, pretty lopsided. What do you expect tonight? What do you expect this team to do tonight? What will this is a good question. What is their identity? In fairness, what is any Detroit team's identity? The Lions' identity used to be what? It used to be the front four on defense and the front five on offense. I mean, I know we get caught up in Jahmyr Gibbs and Jared Goff, and we get caught up in Amon-Ra St. Brown and how good Sam Laporta is when he's healthy and the weapons Jared Goff has. But really, their identity was forged by the guys in the trenches. Red Wings don't have an identity. They have no identity. We don't know what the hell that team is about. They're not great at any one thing. They don't have a superstar by any stretch. They are so far away. I mean, it is. It really is a Dire Straits song. They're so far away. The Tigers' identity, we thought was pitching. When healthy, probably is. But I've always believed in order for you to be a really good pitcher, you're not striking out everybody, okay? This is not the version of Nolan Ryan and Randy Johnson in back-to-back starts. It's not even Johnson and Schilling in back-to-back starts like Arizona could boast. You've got to have a good defense behind a team that you have built based on pitching. And that's what this team is. It's not a power-hitting team. They're better on base this year than in the past, but they're not a power-hitting team. They're not elite defensively. So they are built on their pitching staff when healthy. Skubal, Valdez, Mize, Verlander, I guess, even though he's only made one start. Flaherty, not really. The replacement of Melton would be welcomed. Okay, that is their strength. Find me another strength for this team. It's not. What is the Pistons' identity? And don't give me, well, they really like one another. Wrong. I'm talking about how they play on the floor. It's defense and it's rebounding, isn't it? This is one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. Oklahoma City's number one defensive efficiency. Detroit is number two. They're so good defensively. They didn't do this stuff in fouling teams during the regular season. And I know you're going to say, well, the postseason is different. They're playing the same type of defense. I don't understand how they're getting the constant whistles other than the fact that I'm not making excuses here because I think Cleveland has earned, especially the Game 3 win. The difference here is referees are influenced. I don't think there's any question about that. It's hard to deny that. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000. I don't know if you saw this, but this concerned me when I saw a possible alternate uniform for one of our teams. We'll get to that on the other side. We're brought to you this hour by friends at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. We always welcome your text, Sports Radio 21,000, and we welcome your phone calls on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843, or join us in the chat as we stream live on YouTube, X, and Facebook on a Wednesday morning on the Michigan Sports Network.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. The Tigers failed to hold on to a 2-run lead in New York Tuesday, and they dropped a 10-2 decision to the Mets. It was the Mets' Major League worst 16th win of the year, and just their 7th home win
fewest in MLB. The Tigers made 2 more errors, giving them 25 on the year, which is 6th most in the majors. They now rank 25th in defensive run saves, and they are dead last in outs above average, which measures range for defensive players. The loss in Queens means Detroit is now 8-20 in night games. That's a winning percentage of 28.5%. That's worst in the majors. It means they are 7-17 on the road, a winning percentage of 29%, which again ranks worst in the big leagues. Ugly numbers to go along with an ugly, ugly night.
Huge here with a message from the Carmody brothers. They wanted me to invite everybody out to your local Buffalo Wild Wings in Michigan for every Pistons playoff game. You can watch Detroit basketball as they push for the world title on all the TVs at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan. You can enjoy a meal for 2, a pick 6. They got great wing specials and more. Watch Pistons playoff basketball until it ends at all Buffalo Wild Wings locations in Michigan.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marks. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marks, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
18 after the hour. Welcome back with John Ilk. I'm Matt Shepard. Glad you're with us on this Wednesday morning at Game 5 tonight. You know, I saw a video the other day of a replay of the 1985 NBA lottery, because you have the NBA Combine taking place and all these other things that are associated with the league. You know, the playoffs going strong and numbers are pretty good and people are excited about it. And, you know, they got the Knicks already advancing, so everybody's excited about that. The defending champion OKC Thunder have already advanced. Everybody's excited about that. The talk of LeBron James, the NBA has a lot of momentum with it right now. All right. So I saw this video of the 1985 NBA lottery, in which it's so ridiculous now, but it's a big plastic bowl. It looks like an old Oli ball, if you were old enough to remember what an Oli ball was and drinking beer. Anyway, where you have somebody spinning it around, and then David Stern unlocks what appears to be like a little chain lock on a door, opens up and reaches in, and he pulls out each envelope for, I think it was 7 teams to make the NBA lottery. And there was a big discrepancy. People thought that it was fixed. They thought it was rigged. They thought New York was always going to get the number 1 pick. They believed that that envelope was cold to the touch that allowed David Stern to identify the Knicks. Didn't want the Kings to have that first overall pick. Didn't want to have the Pacers get it. Didn't want the Hawks or Golden State at the time. Okay? Those were the 7 teams, I believe. Or among the 7 teams. I think the other teams were the Clippers, Seattle, and Atlanta. So they thought, many people speculated that it was bound to go to New York's way. Dave DeBusschere, the general manager at the time and former Detroit great, was who was a hell of a baseball player too, I might add, was there in person, had a lucky horseshoe, quote unquote, already had the jersey printed up. This is who we're going to take. And it had number 33 and Ewing on the back. And then they did an interview. Pat O'Brien, CBS, they carried it live. Pat O'Brien did an interview with the general manager, whose name escapes me now, of Indiana and the Clippers, because it went New York, Indiana, then the Clippers. And they were saying, you know, who are you going to draft? They're not going to tell you who they're going to draft, but obviously Dave DeBusschere knew he was taking Patrick Ewing. Indiana took Wayman Tisdale out of Oklahoma. The Clippers took Benoit Benjamin, absolute bust of a player. Seattle took Xavier McDaniel. I have a point here. And then Atlanta took John Koncak before Joe Klein went to Sacramento, and then Chris Mullin. If you think about it, Patrick Ewing was the number 1 overall pick and the best player. But of those lottery, Chris Mullin was the second best player, and he was taken 7th. I could argue that the second or third best player in that first round was taken at 18. It was Joe Dumars. Sometimes drafts, you know, we get caught up in who gets number 1 and all this other stuff. And usually I get it. Most people feel like you're going to get the best player because you're supposed to do your homework. That's your job. But in 1985, well, Patrick Ewing has been taken 1, and Wayman Tisdale 2, who was a good player at Oklahoma, don't get me wrong, because I remember watching him. And then 3 is Benoit Benjamin. Karl Malone, a Hall of Famer and second all-time leading scorer when he retired, was taken 13th. Like Keith Lee was taken ahead of him. Ed Pinckney was taken ahead of him. Kenny Green was taken ahead of him. Exactly. Who the hell is that? Al Frederick Hughes and Blair Rasmussen and Bill Wennington and Uwe Blab were taken ahead of Joe Dumars. You want to tell me how that makes sense when you look back at it now? Later on in that same draft, AC Green was taken 23rd. Terry Porter was taken 24th. You can get good players a little bit later on. Although in today's NBA, I'm not sure it's necessarily true, but you can get good players later on. Just because you get a high draft pick doesn't mean that you know what the hell you're doing. I saw this yesterday, and I wanted your thoughts. It'll be hard for me to describe. I wish we could put an example of it up in the chat. Don't think we can do that. But the Lions alternate uniforms are going to be consistent with a Lions color and a look with a modern twist, according to President Rod Wood, who's in his last year of being the president. One of them is a Lions jersey, a Lions uniform that is all white with gray piping outlined lightly in blue, the lettering of Detroit across the front, the number in gray outlined in blue, and a white helmet with blue stripes down the middle, a gray lion outlined in blue. If that helps you, try to find it. The other is an all blue that looks closer to I don't even know if it's a Duke blue, a Kentucky blue than it does a Lions usual blue, a Honolulu blue, with a blue helmet and a blue logo, a blue lion on the side of a blue helmet. Hard to see. Not a great look by any stretch. Don't necessarily mind the white one, but the blue one, I'm not a fan of at all. Not at all. Speaking of uniforms and teams, John, I'm going to test you here, and it's not going to be easy. All right? It's not going to be easy at all, but I'm going to test you. Ready?
Okay.
There are 6 teams whose nicknames are in multiple leagues of the four big leagues. That 6 teams that share a nickname. So, for example, the Rangers is one of them. I did this with a friend of mine yesterday. I texted him because the Rangers are in hockey and in baseball, if you get the drift. Name the 6 big 4 teams that share their team name. Rangers are one of them. There are 5 more. I'm going to give you some time to think about that, all right? Because I'm sure people are driving right now and people are thinking the exact same thing. 4 big 4 teams, big 4 league teams that share a nickname. I gave you one. The Rangers are one of them. I'm going to give you until 35 to think about the other 5. All right? So that's your homework assignment. Real quick. I mentioned Blake Miller is a guy who is recently signed. So the Lions have signed, I believe, all their draft picks, plus the undrafted free agents, which is great. Miller seems like it was a really good article recently in the Free Press by Dave Burkett. So credit where credit is due. Miller is a guy who seems like he fits right in with a Dan Campbell type philosophy, the type of guy that Brad Holmes wants. Here's what I mean. And again, in case you missed it, Dave Burkett wrote about this. He had finished a 36-hour jaunt where he's getting drafted and all these things are just it's a whirlwind in his life. He had a small draft party at his house in Strongsville, Ohio, 2 nights earlier. All right. So 2 days later, he spent the morning doing some chores. And then he and 13 others who had chronicled the night had gathered to watch the draft on TV. All right. But the next morning, after the celebration of being a first-round pick, the next morning, he and close family members drove to Allen Park for the news conference, toured the facility, did all the things you're supposed to do. A lot of fun for him, right? Then he goes back home, and he and some good friends are going to play 18 holes at a local golf club near his home on Saturday morning. And one of his friends said, I got a call on the phone, or I called him on the phone, and I said, "Where are you?" And he said, "I'm on my way back down to Clemson. I got a training session at 5:00. So rather than be a guy who felt like he made it all, and I'm going to chill, I'm going to relax for a little bit, I'm a multimillionaire, I've accomplished my dream, I'm going to go hang out with my buddies, and then I'll get to work. He went to work the very next day after coming back from Detroit and the tour of Allen Park. He went to Clemson, where he trained for 4 seasons, and put in a 2-hour workout with his personal offensive line coach. That's the kind of guy that sometimes you don't get when you're looking at scouting reports or film reports. The dedication that was vital for his success in college will be vital for his success in the NFL. When we come back, we're going to get John's thoughts on the question that I just recently asked him. Name the 6 Big Four teams in leagues that share their team name. We'll have that after this on X's and Bros.
In the den. It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a new day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Matt Shepard. The Tigers failed to hold on to a 2-run lead in New York Tuesday, and they dropped a 10-2 decision to the Mets. It was the Mets' Major League worst 16th win of the year, and just their 7th home win, fewest in MLB. The Tigers made 2 more errors, giving them 25 on the year, which is 6th most in the majors. They now rank 25th in defensive run saves, and they are dead last in outs above average, which measures range for defensive players. The loss in Queens means Detroit is now 8-20 in night games. That's a winning percentage of 28.5%. That's worst in the majors. It means they are 7-17 on the road, a winning percentage of 29%, which again ranks worst in the big leagues. Ugly numbers to go along with an ugly, ugly night.
Rod Stewart returns to Soaring Eagle Thursday, September 3rd. The Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with special guest Richard Marx. Tickets start at $71 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. One last time, Rod Stewart with Richard Marx, September 3rd. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
Okay, Freddie just blew me away. He'll do this on occasion. But Freddie said Spud Webb was also drafted in that 1985 draft by the Pistons. He's right, in the 4th round. They took Andre Good and another player before Spud Webb. So there's 2 little nuggets that people may not know. Okay. One is that the Pistons drafted Spud Webb. That's a really good one. Here's another one. John, are you a baseball guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know who drafted Ozzie Smith?
I'm guessing it wasn't the Cardinals.
No, actually, he was traded. He was in baseball, as you know, you can get drafted more than once, but he was actually a San Diego Padre. And then Gary Templeton Ozzie Smith started his playing career in San Diego. He was a Hall of Famer as a Cardinal, but he was traded for Gary Templeton. Okay, 2 shortstops. I mean, he played his first 4 years in the majors in San Diego. But this might blow your mind. He was drafted by the Detroit Tigers. He was drafted in the 1976 draft by the Detroit Tigers. Do you know who else was drafted that year by the Detroit Tigers? Yeah. Alan Trammell. So there's a little bit of there's a little nugget for you. All right. It's crazy, but it's true. So think about that. You could have had those guys on the same team. I don't know what you'd have done, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's 1976. Look that up. That's a really good one. But Freddie that's the thing about baseball. I mean, when you look deep into Major League Baseball, guys can be drafted more than once, because you can go back to you can go back to college. Guys can or guys can get drafted out of high school and choose not to go to college. So that's the whole thing with part of the beauty, but also part of the difficulty in baseball. Hockey's the same way. Okay. Hockey's very difficult in that regard too. But if you look at it from that standpoint, I mean, Ozzie Smith, I think most people believe and rightfully so, he's one of the greatest defensive shortstops of all time. Okay. But not many people know he was drafted by the Tigers. So there you go. There's a little nugget of information in regards to Spud Webb, and if you look at Ozzie Smith. Believe it or not, I don't know if people realize this, but the Tigers that year had the 2nd pick in the Major League Baseball draft. Do you know who they took? They took Pat Underwood. He was a left-handed starting pitcher. I forget where he was out of. I don't know if he was out of high school or what. I think he was out of high school, but I don't know exactly where. Pat Underwood was the 2nd overall pick. Alan Trammell was drafted in the 1st pick of the 2nd round. He was drafted 26th overall. Dan Petrie, was drafted 3 or 4 picks later. Jack Morris was drafted. Here's what the Tigers did that year in the 2nd round. This is incredible. Okay. Alan Trammell in the 2nd round. Then Mike Scott, who, by the way, won a Cy Young. Dan Petrie in the 2nd round. Jack Morris in the 2nd round. Or no, Jack Morris was in the 5th round. Excuse me. So Trammell in the 2nd round. Dan Petrie in the 4th round. Jack Morris in the 5th round. Ozzie Smith in the 7th round. That's a pretty good draft, don't you think? Outside of Pat Underwood. And by the way, sandwiched in between Petrie and Morris in the 4th round was Ricky Henderson. I mean, armchair quarterbacking, of course, but think of what you could have done with that. Ricky Henderson, all in the same draft. Floyd Bannister was number 1 out of Arizona State. Shep, Mike Schmidt and George Brett were drafted back-to-back in the same year, both drafted as shortstops. I didn't know they were shortstops. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I was unaware of that. I knew that they were drafted together, or close together, I should say. But I didn't know they were drafted as shortstops. Mike Schmidt's one of those two are the third baseman of my era. I'm not young enough to remember Brooks Robinson. Mike Schmidt was drafted in the second round in 1971. I didn't know he was drafted as a shortstop. So that's good information. Thank you for that. Because he played as a third baseman, obviously. And didn't he go to Ohio University? Didn't Mike Schmidt go to Ohio University? Isn't he a MAC guy? I believe he is. So he was drafted in the second round in 1971. Let me look this up real quick. He was drafted in the second round in 1971. George Brett was taken just ahead of him. George Brett was taken 29th, and he was a shortstop. And Mike Schmidt was taken 30th, and he too was a shortstop. Wow. That's phenomenal stuff. And for Mike Schmidt out of Ohio University. Brett was drafted out of high school. That's always been a good debate of which one was better, of those two guys. Good stuff. I love looking at that historical significance. Let me get back to that question real quick that I have for John Elk. All right? And thank you for that text. It's beautiful stuff. Name the 6 Big Four teams that share their team name. All right? So the four major sports, football, baseball, basketball, hockey. All these teams have nicknames, including the A's. They just don't have a city. We're looking for the 6 common between the 4, the 6 common nicknames. I gave you the Rangers, Texas Rangers in baseball, New York Rangers in hockey. Who are the 5 others, John Elk?
Well, the next 3 were easy. The Winnipeg Jets and the New York Jets.
Right.
The New York Giants and the San Francisco Giants.
Correct.
The St. Louis Cardinals and the Arizona Cardinals.
Right on.
The Sacramento Kings and the LA Kings.
Right up.
And then this one was the tricky one, Carolina Panthers and the Florida Panthers.
Right. I thought the Jets were the hardest one. And that's because the Winnipeg Jets. And not everybody knows hockey. Right? Obviously you do. So that's it. The Rangers, there are 6 Big Four from the 4 leagues. 6 teams that share nicknames. The Kings, the Giants, the Panthers, the Cardinals, the Jets, and the Rangers. Okay? There you go. Hope you enjoy that one. All right. PGA starts tomorrow. PGA of America. John, are you a golfer?
No.
You're not a golfer. Okay. So this doesn't necessarily work. Who is it? Could there be a first-time champion? Who are some of the names that are associated? We'll get into that tomorrow here on X's and Bros, so hope you can join us for that. In case you missed, the Mets beat up the Tigers 10-2, 7th home win of the season. Jack Flaherty struggles again today. Had a text earlier today about certain players on this team and who needs to be held accountable. Who's most at fault for their struggles right now? Because the easy thing to say is that, well, they're injured. Well, Tarek Skubal's injured. That's a big blow. That would be a big blow to anybody. I mean, the Yankees were able to overcome Garrett Cole and his injury, but we're going to lean on Tarek Skubal. Fair enough. I want you to think about that. I mean, we're a city and a state that prides itself on being tough because it's us against everybody. You see those T-shirts all the time, correct? It's us against everybody. Am I wrong there? Tell me that I'm wrong. Okay, I'm not wrong. So if that's the case, you tell me, why is it that you can sit there and act like, we can overcome just about everything, but we can't overcome this? Like I said, the Yankees last year made the playoffs. They won 94 games. They missed Garrett Cole all season long last year. Last time Garrett Cole pitched was 2024 when he made 17 starts. And yet the Yankees won 94 games last year in what some may have considered the toughest division in baseball. And the Blue Jays had 94 wins. Yankees had 94 wins. Red Sox had 89. What other division in baseball a year ago had two 90-plus winning teams? The NL Central and the NL West. And the NL Central had three teams make the playoffs. But the third team had 83 wins, while the third team in the AL East had 89. So I think it was the hardest division. Yet they overcame that. How can they overcome that? But we can't seem to be even treading water without our guy. Depth? Well, maybe also because Casey Mize is out. You went out and signed one of the most enticing free agents in Major League Baseball, in Framber Valdez. And you're still in this position that you're in right now. Whose fault is this? I don't think there's just one person. You can't say it's just on the general manager. You can't say it's just on the manager. You can't say it's just on one specific player. I mean, I know we like to blame Jalen Duren for everything that's wrong with the Pistons right now in the postseason, being down 3-1 against Orlando and being even 2-2 against Cleveland. But there are other guys who aren't pulling their weight, especially in Game 4, like Duncan Robinson, like Asar Thompson, and like others. Doesn't mean you're not supposed to make a change. I'm just saying there are different fingers that can be pointed at different players. And it's the same thing with the Tigers. But the general manager knew in the offseason what his team lacked. And he didn't address it. He knew what his team lacked at the trade deadline a year ago, and he didn't address it. He knew what his team lacked 2 years ago at the trade deadline and didn't address it. There's a part of me that thinks this organization really likes to show everybody we're going to win with a bunch of guys who can play different positions. And it's not working right now. Look, they've made the playoffs each of the last 2 years, and they've won a playoff series each of the last 2 years. 2 years ago in Houston, really impressive. Last year against Cleveland, who won the division, came from way back and beat them. Very impressive. Oh, they were so close, Shep. They're so close 2 years ago against Cleveland. Tarek Skubal lost Game 5. Last year, very close to Seattle. Lost the game that Skubal pitched in the last game of the year. Okay. If they're that close, then why wouldn't you get that one guy in each of the last 2 years to push you over the top? We've pleaded for Brad Holmes to do it. We've pleaded for Trajan Langdon to do it. I don't hear that cry as much for a guy like Scott Harris. And I wonder why that is. When you and I both know this division is a hell of a lot easier to win than the NFC North in football and the Central Division in basketball. It's a hell of a lot easier. With all due respect to the teams that are currently putting up that kind of fight. Cleveland. Chicago's not supposed to be there, you guys. And yet Chicago's got a better record than Detroit. Barely, but a better record than Detroit. They're a game under 500. Why is Minnesota tied with Detroit? I mean, people in Kansas City might be saying the same thing. I don't know. Because the Royals had high expectations, or people had high expectations of the Royals. I would hope that they would have high expectations of themselves as well. The injuries are getting old, granted. But what's getting just as old, if not more tiresome, is the excuse making by people in general. If you're a very good organization, this isn't supposed to be a really good team. It's supposed to be a really good organization. What did we hear all offseason? I'll tell you what we heard. They have one of the best farm systems in all of baseball. Kevin McGonigal, Max Clark, Bryce Rayner, Jose Briseño, all these different, right? I mean, that's what we heard. Okay. If that's the case, why are they in this situation? Great organizations are supposed to be able to adapt and absorb certain losses. And I get that there are certain losses that are tough to overcome. Skubal, Mai specifically. But stop with the whole 15 on the IL because of the number of different guys you knew were going to be on the IL when the season began. And you still did nothing about it. A la Reese Olson, Jackson Jobe, Troy Melton. Those are not surprises that they're on there. Is it a big surprise that Justin Verlander's been on the IL as long as he has? Not really. Not at his age. Maybe didn't expect it this early in the season. Cold weather and things of that nature. But come on. You didn't think he was going to make 30 starts anyway. I think I said at the beginning of the year, if he gave me 25 starts, I'd be happy. So you knew you were going to need a lot of pitching, no matter what. I'm sorry, man. I mean, last year, what'd you use? 11 starters? 13 starters? You're going to need something along those lines again this year. A lot of teams do. And you weren't ready for it. In addition to that, the depth, we talk about the Lions' depth all the time and for good reason. Where have they built up their team as much? The offensive line depth. Ben Borch, Juice Scruggs, right? Larry Borum. You may not think they're great players. You know what they are? They are players that you can help you absorb a loss of a player in a game or for a short period of time. You don't want them every day, but they can be a quality depth piece. Where's the quality depth for the Tigers? Doesn't really exist. That's where people should be more upset than anything else. The depth for the Pistons will be key tonight. They take on the Cavs 8 o'clock at home tonight. I hate those 8 o'clock starts. I'd prefer a 7. It would be 7 when they go to game 6 in Cleveland. All right. So on Friday night when they play the Cavs at Rocket Arena, it's going to be 7 o'clock. So that's kind of a good thing for you. But it's 8 o'clock tonight. We will be talking about the Pistons and Cavs tomorrow, probably most of the morning. Tomorrow will be a little bit of a surprising thing, and this is why I'm saying Freddie stunned me. Tomorrow will mark a little bit of a milestone in television history. 28 years tomorrow, May 14th, 28 years since the last episode of of Seinfeld. The Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld production or creation. That was fantastic. 9 seasons from July 5th of 1989 to May 14th of 1998. Arguably the greatest sitcom of all time. MASH is in there. I get it. Maybe if you're my daughter, you'll love Friends. Who knows? Frasier to a certain extent, right? Cheers, all part of it. But Seinfeld's in that discussion for sure. That's what stunned me. 28 years since the last episode. They're still having reruns and still going strong and still being referenced by older folks like me. I want to thank John Ilk for coming in. I want to thank, of course, Andy McDonald, but most of all to you for your contribution in the chat, via text, and a whole lot more. Thanks for giving some of your time to us on this Wednesday. The Huge Show later on today at 3. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6. Have a great day, everybody.
Huge here for Josh Garvey and his team at Dorn Mayhew. Now, Josh oversees the West Michigan operations. Dorn Mayhew's worldwide headquarters are in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. They are one of the top accounting, CPA, and business firms in the world. They continue to grow. They can help your business with any accounting, CPA, or business need you have. And also Dorn Mayhew and Josh and the West Michigan operation, they present Talking Hoops with John Beilein. We do it every Tuesday on the Huge Show through the NBA Finals. So how far will the Pistons go in the playoffs? You can hear Coach Beilein, Josh Garvey, and myself every Tuesday on the Huge Show as we talk hoops, presented by one of the world's top accounting, CPA, and business firms, Dorn Mayhew. Josh Garvey oversees the West Michigan operation. Their worldwide headquarters for Dorn Mayhew are in